At this moment, Old White ignored John's questions, caring only about Special Agent Colin's whereabouts, fearing he'd drink up all the office coffee again. However, if the crime center's reorganization plan fails, the chief will surely be furious. Colin secretly entered John's home, with drugs scattered on the table as if at a party. John's drug habits were fully exposed, but the headline of his crisis was still ongoing. Times L. No sooner had he returned to the lab than the machine ejected a yellow ball symbolizing murder, like in a prank. When John pulled up the video of the victim Leo looking for clues, he was shocked to discover that the killer was actually himself. What a twist. He didn't recognize this man at all. It was like a bad plot twist in a TV show. At this moment, the killer's ball rolled out. John grabbed his name ball before his men could, almost shouting, "Not mine." Pound eomat at letter 3 a circumflex eomat 3 omat letter 2b a yq cyrillic letter 4 b so eomat omat dot plus or minus a circumflex I as cyrillic not sentenda retroflex a quarter w ogrov eomat ayo or tell the circumflex iomat circumflex acute letter 3 c Chinese letter pan micro yen paragraph I'll get omat iomat acute egrov letter 7 iomat ela ogrov aminine u circumflex iomat cyrillic letter 4 bc sedilla acute until the letter dbt pound copyright times l paragraph or circumflex cyrillic letter 47 ogrov iomat iomat acute egrov yacute. He swiftly evacuated his men and reconfirmed the prophet's uploaded video like reviewing a textbook. He couldn't believe his eyes. According to the Crime Prevention Center's laws, he had officially become a murder suspect. Pandiomat at letter 3 CAE circumflex amat 3 omat ograviamat micro other a tilde divided by bandits and turned retroflex a quarter a 3 omat 3 degrees umat and not sign pound copyright eq tiomat cyrillic letter 4 3 I circumflex aomat a circumflex c sedilla omat I true delo acute k sedilla hand altogether in a half I circumflex aomat letter 3 CAE aomat umat 1 c sedilla rings 3 thorn times lo plus or minus aomat letter 7 a micro aomat or letter 3 CA to figure out why he was framed pendant sign a 3/4 omat paragraph io trocadero eomat turned retroflex until the acute a circumflex ograva letter 3 CA he chose to flee the lab before his men returned pendant sign 3/4 acute a x cyrillic letter 4 ref 1 I tilde G micro AI road times divide by a minion so quarter o grov letter 3 CA like in an escape movie pandits and oi quarter tilde a cute grov acute 11 OMA micro and glottal substrate pant. Just as he entered the elevator, he was cornered by Colin, and John thought he had been exposed, only to find out that Colin was just looking for evidence. Put the phone down, John, he heard a voice say. Just when Colin finished talking, the building erupted with alarm. It seems his assigned subordinate saw the image on the big screen, forcing John to exit the elevator quickly. He quickly hopped into his smart car before the other SWAT teams arrived and immediately contacted Old White. He told Old White Colin was up to tricks, trying to block the crime center's reorganization so dramatic. But before he could finish his sentence, his car was remotely locked and was zooming back along the same route. John had no choice but to kick the window off and climb on top of the car to escape. The next events felt like a scene straight out of an action movie. He struggled to climb the car side, then leaped like a diver to the right, approaching car. What a twist! Finally, at the last moment before the car turned, he jumped onto the balcony of the neighboring building. Although he regained temporary freedom, the situation remained dire. However, Red Devil identification devices everywhere watched him. John entered the subway with the crowd, and his men instantly pinpointed his location. Minutes later, John exited the car again, blocked by armed men. What a twist of fate. John had no choice but to turn around and flee, but against the SWAT officers in flying backpacks, he stood no chance. What a ridiculous situation. He knew that once arrested, he would never have a chance to prove his innocence. Just go big or go home, John. No worries. Soaring too smoothly, John swiftly grabbed the tear gas baton from one officer as they became distracted. He jabbed the baton toward a nearby officer, then leaped to seize a hold of the ledge of a neighboring apartment. What a wall crawler! Meanwhile, the SWAT officers floated in midair, totally unable to make any moves, like they were stuck on poles. John thought to himself, why not jump up and let them try to ambush me from below? But that only worsened the situation. Just before plummeting to the ground, he activated the reverse thrust device, sending them racing into the building's maintenance shaft instead of crashing to the ground. They smashed through the floors of 2 neighboring apartments, successfully evading a swarm of would-be captors like a scene from The Avengers. Just as he breathed a sigh of relief, he met Colin arriving and must indeed cross paths. Colin's underlings showed no mercy towards John. In no time, they were aiming at him like he was a punching bag. However, John was no easy target, and he swiftly subdued them, as if they were just victims of a too-much beer situation. John quickly picked up the grand electromagnetic cannon and faced Colin's men in a tense clash. Unexpectedly, in a moment of carelessness, he was grabbed from behind. Just as Colin was about to arrive, John swiftly retaliated. He jumped over the wall, seized the robotic arm, and swung up to the high ground, channeling his inner action movie star. But Colin wasn't about to back down. He jumped up right after, turning it into a competition of who's got the better moves. Ultimately, both of them fell into a train being assembled, and it felt less like an action flick and more like a scene from Squirrel Wars. To his surprise, Colin shot his head up and was so startled he fumbled surprise. He quickly grabbed the nearby robotic arm to escape, while John found himself trapped inside the train, such a roller coaster of plot twists. Just when it seemed like John had been absorbed into the train, when Colin and his team arrived at the paint shop, John was completely unharmed. What a shocker. Under Agent's watch, John vanished into the distance in a new BYD, a spectacular escape. Subsequently, John sped swiftly along the country roads outside the town, hurrying to the residence of Dr. Hyman, the creator of the prophecy system, with thoughts of the upcoming dinner in his mind. Times L pound grov micro divide by or letter 2bd a half letter 179 planets and half resembling a superior origin tail times divide by letter 3ca a half r 0 u circumflex acute symbol 360 choco acute a tilde offspring I descendants plus or minus I a quarter or grov or I a quarter a tilde acute anini micro yen dz copyright. These kids who survived due to genetic mutations possess the ability to foresee the future. Normally, the images foretold by the prophets couldn't be faked, but that didn't mean John was a murderer. The three prophets' abilities differ. Agatha, the strongest, sees unique visions, like a three-view setup. Pando handle BFBL paragraph egrov letter 3ca thirtyon liget dz not sign at handle BFBL paragraph egrov letter 3ca cwent yfor liget dz not sign a quarter o tilde acute grov acute eamount seven liget dz not sign cyrillic letter 4 abc acute grov fifteen liget dz not sign o circumflex abic letter 6b1 pound 3 Hebrew symbol 5ba eamount eth a ring letter 3 letter 237 u grov times I circumflex acute symbol 336 letter 23c Capuith. This also explained why John couldn't find Agatha's mapped images, but getting the original reports from the prophets was no walk in the park. Subtitles: John sought a way to evade Red Devil scanners, heading to a slum underground clinic truly determined. With Dr. Dell's help, he had a successful eyeball replacement, but was left with thick bandages, feeling blind. Dr. Dow warned him not to remove the bandages for 12 hours, otherwise his eyes could go blind from early exposure. John thought the main plot of this episode is escape. Before he left, Dr. Dow gave him a special beauty shot. If injected into his chin, his face would balloon up within half an hour. How magical. Then Dr. Dow quickly departed, and John fell into a deep sleep under the influence of drugs. 6 hours later, the sounds outside startled him awake. The SWAT team responsible for capturing him was already there. It felt like he had been woken from a hypnosis session. John sighed, "Oh man, it's running time again." In this tense moment, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe. Let's enjoy the prologue of this action blockbuster